guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Choma Stitches and my name is Choma. On today's sewing tutorial, I'm going to be teaching us how to make this beautiful gown. And to achieve this, I'm going to be drafting the upper part, and then we can use freehand for the lower bodies. Okay, so I'm already out of paper, but I really need to do this, and I can't go and get one, right now. So ignore all of these patches. Okay, I won't even be needing all of this when I'm done drafting. So basically, the half length I'm working with is 19.5 inches. I'm going to mark out 19.5 inches and rule it. Now I've divided my pattern into two. This is the half of the front and this is the half of the back, and that is the zip allowance at the back. Okay, so now I'm going to impute the other measurements from the shoulder to the top of the bust. By the top of the bust, I mean the parts where you want the top of the dress to start. That's your chest line. Okay, so now it doesn't have to be your under bust, it could be wherever I want it to be. Okay, so from the shoulder to the top of the bust, I'm working with 7 inches. Shoulder to the bust, I'm using 11 inches, and shoulder to the under bust, 14.5 inches. I'm just going to mark this only in the front part. So I have 7, 11, and 14.5. While for the back, I'm going to mark out the same 7 inches for the top of the bust. And then I'm going to come down and mark the waistline of 13.5 inches. Let's work with 13.5 inches. Okay, now I'm going to take out the difference between the front half length and the back half length, and I'm using 3 inches for this. So I'll mark out. For those of you who always ask me why I don't use centimeters, I prefer to work with inches. And your tape rule, like I've showed you on in other videos, when your tape rule has centimeters and inches. So for mine, this is the inches, the wider parts, and just behind this is the centimeters. So any number I call in inches that you don't understand, just turn your tape to the other side and you'll find the equivalent in centimeters. Okay, so for these 3 inches now, the equivalent is about 7.5 centimeters. Okay, so just flip the tape and you get the equivalent at the back. That's for that. Okay, so this is the difference between the front half length and the back half length. Okay, that we're going to be taking us around the bust area. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark out all these measurements. I'm going to mark out the shoulder, 8 inches. So let me switch the marker to the blue one. This is the shoulder slope. For the back, I am using 1 inch. For the front, I'm going to use 1.5 inch. And then I'm going to mark out the armhole. For the armhole, divide your bust measurement by 6 and add 1.5 inches to it, and that will be your armhole measurement. I'm going to transfer this 8 inches shoulder measurement to this armhole measurement. I'm going to just transfer this from the top here to now be 9 inches when you include the 1 inch shoulder slope. So I'm going to come here and mark 9 inches. And then mark 8 inches for the shoulder, and then I'm going to just mark out these lines. So this would have been the armhole if I was going to add a sleeve. Okay, so for the shoulder slope for the front, like I said, I'm using 1.5 inches, and then to curve the armhole, I'm going to go up by 3 inches, come in by half of an inch, connect it to the shoulder slope, and then use the curved part of the ruler to curve the armhole. For the back, I'm going to divide the armhole into 2, and that will be 4 inches. Go in by half of an inch, connect it to the shoulder slope, and use the curved ruler to curve it. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to use 3 inches for the neckline. For the front, I'm going to use 3 by 3 inches, and then connect it to the shoulder slope. For the back, I'll use 3 by 1 inch and do the same thing. So I'm going to impute the bust measurement. I'll put it here and here. okay, so that I can take out this part and start working on the main bodies that I want to actually work with. Okay, so bust 39 inches divided by 4 will be 9.75. So I'm going to mark it 9.75 here and on the top of the bust. This is the top of the bust, this is the bust, this is the under bust. So I'm going to do the same thing here, 9.75, 9.75. So I can just connect these places and connect here. Now I don't need this part of the measurement, but I can just leave it. When I'm done, I'll cut it out. Okay, I'm going to mark out the bust points divided by 2. That's 8 inches divided by 2. That's the nipple to nipple measurement, and I'm marking it from the top of the bust to the down part. For the under bust, that I'm going to use 0.75 inch here, 0.75 inch here. Then the waist, I'll use 0.75 inch here, 0.75 inch here. Okay, I'm just going to connect this. Please follow closely so that you understand what I am doing, because most of the alterations we might not end up using them. Okay, for the bust measurement, we already know it's 9.75 inches. I'll mark it here. The under bust measurement is 32 inches divided by 4 will be 8 inches plus this 1.5, so I can mark 9.5 here. And the waist measurement is 34 inches divided by 4 will be 8.5 inches plus 1.5, so we have 10 inches. I'm going to connect this like so. And then these 3 inches from the difference between the front and the back half length, I'm going to take it out from the bust dart here. And then I'll connect this to the bust point. This place should be eliminated. Now, I'm just going to connect this measurements all the way to the bust point. I am using freehand as against using my pattern master. Alright, so and this place I will be eliminating here. Now for the back, we're going to take out the back darts. For the back dart, I'm going to take out 1.5. I'm going to mark the bust points divided by 2 again. I'm going to rule it. And then I'll take out 1.5 inch for the dart. So 0.75 inch on both sides, just like I did for the front. And I'm going to connect it. Now I like to just extend this dart line like this and have a little triangle here to help me transfer the darts to fabric when I am transferring the dart to fabric. Anyway, that's for that. So now I'm going to input the measurements. The waist measurement is 34 inches divided by 4 plus the 1.5 inch, and we have 10 inches, so I'll mark 10 inches. Around here, I'm going to mark out the under bust, assuming the under bust is here for the back. Okay, so around this under bust, I'm going to mark out the under bust measurement divided by 4. That's 32 inches divided by 4 will give us 8 inches, and I'm going to mark out 8 inches here. And then I'll measure whatever I have here as a dart difference. Okay, what I have is 0.75. I'm going to add it to here, 0.75. So I'm going to connect this. And then for the back tightening, I'm going to take out half of this back zip allowance and then rule it all the way to here. You don't have to take exactly half an inch all the way from the top, so but it's to help tighten it at the back. So I'm going to eliminate this part, but when we're sewing the zipper, we will still use the same 1 inch. Okay, now for this this outfit, I would like to the bust area to come down a bit, which means I want a little bit of the cleavage to show. So to achieve that, I'm going to come down from this place. I'm going to come down by 1 inch all the way from here first. And then for the front, I'm going to come down a little bit again by another half of an inch, but I'm using the curved ruler to curve it here. Okay, so I'm reducing it like this. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this cyst out so that I'll start my other alteration. First, I'm going to take out this part that I don't need. And then for here, I'm going to first take out this place so that I can now take out the bust dart. I'm going to connect this place to the armhole. And then I'll cut out that part as well. And then for the other alterations I want to make, I would like to cover this place up back. So first, I'm going to bring this place together. So I'm placing this tape and I'm going to bring this one and cover it up like this. Okay, so I've matched up this place. See this place now, look at what you have. This is also a method of doing your corsets. If this was a corset dress, at this point you can place your cup on top of this and trace out your cup, and you would have had a perfect corset drafted. But we're not doing a corset. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be cutting out the cup area. Okay, so to cut out the cup area, I'm going to measure 1.5 inch from the side. I'm going to measure 1.5 inch from the armhole, from the side here, from here, and then I'm going to curve this, or better still, I can use just 1 inch. So I can use just 1 inch instead of 1.5 inch. I can use 1 inch from here, and then from that 1 inch, I am going to curve this place. I'm just using that as a guide. I hope this makes sense. I'm going to cut out this part. I'm going to cut out here. So this is the front piece. You can match this place to see that they align. See, this is the back piece, this is the front piece, and this is part we are going to be replacing with gathers. Okay, now to cut out the lower bodies, I'm going to start by cutting out the flare first. I only folded my fabric into two, just one side. Okay, and if you can see, I have already measured the width I need on this side. I have like 18 inches here. Now let me explain how I arrived at this. To cut out your 360 flare, you have to divide your waist measurement by 4. Now whatever you get from your waist measurement, you are going to add your sewing allowance on the side to it. That is if you are going to add sewing allowance. If there's going to be a joining on the side. If there's not going to be a join on the side, when you get your waist measurement, you divide it by 4. Whatever you get, you divide it by 3.14. Now whatever you get from that 3.14, you can multiply it by 2. That will be your circumference. That will be your waist circumference. That will be the circumference of your waist, however you like to put it. Then you can now decide to add your zipper allowance to it in case of that one. To draft your 360 flare, if you don't want to add sewing allowance on the side, but you probably have to add like a zip allowance, your waist measurement plus your zip allowance, you will now divide it by 4. Whatever you get as your answer, you will divide that answer by 3.14 and then multiply the answer, the result of that, by 2. That will be your waist circumference. So when you cut it out, it will give you your exact waist measurement for a 360 flare. So in this case, the waist measurement is 34 inches, divided by 4 is 8.5 inches. Then I'm going to add 1.5 inch for sewing allowance on the side. That will give me 10 inches. Now this 10 inches divided by 3.14 will give me 3.184. I will now multiply the 3.184 by 2 and I get 6.368. With this now, the 6.368 will be circumference. That's the opening, the waist measurement. Now, I will now add the length of the flare that I need. And I did like 11 inches. So 6.368, that's 3.6 or 3.4 approximately, plus 11 inches is going to give me 17.4. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark out the 17.4 first, and then I will mark out the 6.3 as the waist measurement. Okay, and those of you who like to work with your cm, please learn to work with inches, because most of my work are on inches. Just use the inches part of the ruler and work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark out the 17.4 all round. So you are placing this at the tip of the flare here. You are placing your tape exactly at the tip there, and then you go ahead and mark it all round. And then I'll mark out the 6.4 or 6.8, 6.3 here, or 6.4 approximately. So I'm going to go ahead and use my hand to connect these dots. If you don't have a steady hand and you don't trust what you're marking, use the curved part of your ruler to do it one after the other, like so. And so we have it. This is it. This is the pattern. So I'm going to cut out this part and use it to cut out the back piece. I added half an inch. So I'm going to place this like this. And at this point, I'm just going to move in a little, adding the 1 inch zip allowance. Now, in the same vein, I'm going to cut out the waist measurement together. Then you can open up the back to separate it. So this is our circle flare. Now I'm going to cut out the long straight one we're going to use for the lower bodies. So I've cut out, this is the second layer, and as you can see, I'm using a different fabric for the second layer of the lower bodies. Okay, and this is just how I want it to be, and you see how it came out really nice. I like the idea of the combination. Anyway, so I've cut out this long strip. Look at how long it is. It is by 9 inches like this. For the front piece, I have the full length to be 116. That's the width. The full width for the front is 116, while the full width for the back, each of the back piece, is 90.5 inches. I just used the leftover fabric. I decided to use everything. Since I'm going to be gathering it, it doesn't have to be exactly the same quantity with one in front, which means the back is going to have a little bit more fullness when you gather it compared to the front. Okay, now how did I arrive at this? When I measured the circumference of this hem, the hem of the first layer, when I measured it, I got 28 inches on fold like this, which means when you open it up, the full circumference for the front piece is 56 inches. And then so if I now have to gather 116 on 56 inches, it will have a little bit of gather on it. For the back is 2 inches wider than that of the front. Anyway, that is how I got this. So I'm going to go ahead and run a loose stitch at the edge of this for both the front piece and the two back pieces that I'm going to be using to attach it to these lower bodies. Meanwhile, I'm going to be transferring our drafted pattern for the upper bodies to fabric, and I'm using this particular fabric. Now this is the pattern for the front piece. This is from the underbust to the waistline. I have added half an inch at the middle here where I'm going to be attaching the part for the bust area, and then I added 1.5 inch on the side for sewing allowance, because on the lower bodies, that's the flare part, I added 1.5 inch as sewing allowance. Note that. So for the back, I have added 1/4 inch at the top, and then 1.5 inch as well for the sewing allowance on the side. Also, I'm going to be cutting out lining pieces for this and for the front as well. For this particular part, this is the cup area. Now to cut out this one, the fabric that's going to be in front for the cuff area, I have marked out this straight line that I'm going to work with. Now let's set this aside. Now I have it to be like 9.5 from here to here. That's because, let me explain how it's going to go. I want the actual cup to be in the length of 8 inches, the one that is going to cup. Now what I have here for this measurement is 6 inches, but 6 inches, if you measure the 6 inches from your under bust to the part you want your boobs to stop, if you measure 6 inches, it will not cover for a bust 39 inches. Now, so I want it to be like instead of these 6 inches, I think I can make it 7.5 inches. Okay, so I think I'll make it 7.5 inches in the length. All right, then I'll have to add 1 inch for the top, because the top is going to be having a loop where you can drag and tie and cover it. Okay, so that 1 inch, there's going to be a 1 inch on the top, so that 1 inch for hemming at the top for the ease, I'm going to add it. And then I'll add half an inch at the down for joining the down part to the curved area in the front. For joining the down part to the curved area in front, so half an inch to join it here. Hope you understand. All right, so I'm going to measure, so that will now make it from 7.5 inches plus 1 inch, 8.5, and then plus another half an inch, make it 9 inches. Then for the width can be as wide as you want it to be, because the more you gather it, the more fabric it will have in the front, the more busy it's going to be. So you can now decide how you want it to be. If you want it to be scantier, if you don't want it to have to be very busy like my own, then decide how you want. So I think I'm going to be working with, now I also need a joining allowance in the middle. Now that joining allowance, I've set aside 1 inch for that joining allowance. I will show us how we are going to make use of this joining allowance, so pay attention. All right, that is at this middle. Please note, so this, our dress is starting from here. This is just a 1 inch join allowance. I will show us why we need it. Then for the width I'm using like 21 inches to gather it. 1 inches for this, so you can make it more than this, and you can see that it is on fold, which means the 21 inches is basically for 1 cup of the boobs. So when you gather it, it will have the structure effect that we want it to be. Now, if you look at this side of the cup, it is curved, and we are going to introduce that as well here. As it's curving like this, it's going to reduce the length on this side. So note that. Now, if you look at this, if you measure this into from here to here, I have 9 inches, and then you have that the larger part is on this side, which means from the center we have 5 inches on this side. Now let's do it. Now we have 21 inches here, so I can just say, instead of, I can make this place 10 and here 11, or I can make here 11.5 and this place will be like 9.5. So I'm going to mark out 9.5 on this side. There's a dynamic to this, I hope you understand. I hope it's not too complicated for you. If you find it to be too complicated, watch it again and try to understand. Alright, so at this point I have demarcated it to have here representing here and here representing here. So now I'm going to be curving this place. I hope you understand. So to curve that, I'm going to be using my free hand. I'm just going to curve it like so. So in curving it, you have taken away a bit of the length on this side to accommodate the pattern we have drafted. So this is what I have. Now this particular is going to be the cup for one, and the one underneath will be for the other. Now because I want to also use the same fabric as the lining piece for this, only this part, I'm going to cut out these two and cut out another two for it, only for this part. The other part of the dress is going to have normal lining. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. This is for this. So I'm going to cut out another one of this. Like I said, I'm using one part as lining. So I've cut out the second part of this, and as you can see from here, from this place, I've come down by 3 inches, and I'm going to sew here with a 1 inch sewing allowance, and I'll do the same thing for the lining piece as well. Now what this means is that by the time I fold in here with half an inch folded twice, it's going to leave me with 2 inches opening here. That's with 2 inches that might slightly show your cleavage. If you don't want yours to be up to 2 inches, you can come up to this place and then sew from 2 inches here all the way down. And then this is the rope we're going to be using to create the ruched effect or the gathered effect on the top of the bust. So I have it as 13 inches length by 2 inches. I'm going to make a rope out of this so that when we're joining it to this place, we'll start doing it almost sequentially at the same time. So I'm going to do that. Set this aside. Then this one is going to be the spaghetti sleeve that's going to be on top of this. Okay, now this is the pattern we cut out. from here like so, and this is the part that stays here. This is the cup area that we've already removed. Okay, that's what we are replacing with this water, with this piece. Okay, now this spaghetti sleeve, I got it from measuring here and here. Now I measured from here to here and I got 6.8 inches. From here to here I got 7 inches, which means to the back, so 7 inches plus 6.8 is going to give us 13.8 inches. So I added 1 inch that I'm going to use to attach it, that 1 inch that I'm going to be using, half an inch to attach it to the front, half an inch to attach it to the back, making it 14.8 inches. But my rope here is 15 inches, which means I added just extra 0.3 inches for ease. So I have the length of 15 inches here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a rope out of this one as well. Now for the front piece on this part, I'm not going to be taking out that because we've closed up the darts here. So I'm going to just cut out the lining piece of exactly the same thing like for this one. While for this one, I am going to be taking out the darts. So I'm going to transfer the darts from the paper to the main fabric. If you don't know how to transfer that, you're going to watch my previous videos on how to do that. I'm going to drop the links in the description box. Check them. I believe everybody can do it, and this will be a guide. So I have cut out the lining pieces and I have gone ahead to take out the darts for the back piece. And like I said, the front piece, we're not taking out the darts. Okay, so let me take out this pattern. So this is the flare part of the dress. We're going to start by attaching the flare part of the dress. Okay, so I'm going to open it up and start sewing this flare. So go ahead and sew the flare, and I'm going to sew it lining piece to lining piece, main fabric to main fabric. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and attach the flare, and I'll do the same thing for the back pieces. So I will sew the lining piece to the lining piece and main fabric to the main fabric. These are the ropes. This one is one for the spaghetti sleeve. I've prepared it. This is the one for the top. I've prepared it as well. Okay, then this is the fabric for the bust area, and I have also prepared this. Look at this. So I joined it, leaving the 3 inches. So I decided to make it 2.5 inches instead of 3 inches. This is my 3 inches mark. I came up by half of an inch, so I sewed here. So I left like 2.5 inches up here. So what I'm going to do about this place is, for this opening now, I'm going to come here and I will fold here like so. I will fold here in by half of an inch, folded twice, and I'm going to go ahead and top stitch it. I'm going to do it like this and do it like this. I'll do it like this, and I'll do it for this other piece as well, because you know we're working with both the lining piece and the main fabric. I'll do the same thing here and here. Okay, so here I've gone ahead to sew it. Look at how it looks. So I'm going to turn to the other side now. This is the right side, and I'm going to bring this other one and I'll place it on top of it like so, and I'll go ahead and sew the top. I'll go and join it from here all the way. Stop here. When I get here, I will lock it here. I'll do the same thing here too. I will sew here from here to here. I will lock it and leaving this place open. Okay, so here I've sewn it, as you can see, and I also went ahead to iron it out. Now you can see the opening in the middle like I mentioned. Okay, now I have it like, look at this opening here. So like I said, this is the opening that is going to be on your dress. If you don't want it to be this open, you know how you can adjust it. I mentioned that when we're cutting it, so don't forget. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go ahead and sew at 0.75 inch. I don't think half an inch will do it, so I will do like 0.7 inch. I'm going to sew 0.7 inch all the way here, all the way and all the way down to this place. I'm going to do that. Meanwhile, on this other side, I have joined the lower bodies. Okay, I've joined this flare part, and this is the under bust. Remember, this is the front piece, and this is the back piece. I have also joined it. I'm going to take this out using oil. So I've joined this one as well, as you can see. Okay, so for this back piece, I'm going to start attaching the spaghetti sleeve from this back. You're going to first measure the 1.5 inch sewing allowance that you already added to the fabric when you transfer the pattern to fabric. Okay, So I have this 1.5 inch here, and then I have up this place. Then so when I measure this place, I have 1.8 inches. So from here I'm going to measure another 1.8 inches. So this is exactly where I'm going to start attaching the spaghetti sleeve. So I'm going to place this spaghetti sleeve like so. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to measure. So what I have here now in total is this is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to measure 3.5 inches from this side, and then I'll place the other spaghetti sleeve like so, and I'll pin. So I am going to take the lining pieces, place it like so, and I'll go ahead and sew the top, and I'll do the same thing here as well. And when you are sewing, you can use a hemming gum to sew it so that when you iron it, it will lay flat. Okay, so I'm going ahead to sew this, and as you can see, so what I'm going to do now is pass this one through it. If you look at this rope, you see that one part of the rope is neatly covered and the other one is just left like that, and that is on purpose. So I'm going to use my loop turner, pass it through this opening all the way down, and pull this rope through it. I have this one this way. I'm going to pass the other one as well. So this is where it is. Look at how it looks. So I'm going to go ahead and run a loose stitch starting from here and all the way together like this, and run it all the way to this place. And then meanwhile, for the back piece, I have gone ahead to join it. As you can see, I've top stitched it, and this is what I have. And I have placed the oil under this, the machine oil, and I'm going to let it soak so I can take it out. So it's even out already. So that's how you can remove this. Like so, you can go ahead and iron it and set it aside first. Okay, so here I've gone ahead to run the loose stitch, and I'll be attaching it to the front piece. I'm going to sew it to the main fabric first, and then I will use the lining piece to cover it up. Okay, that's to cover the rough part. So first you are going to find the middle of this upper bodice. Then I'll take the joining, this place that has the joining, I'll place it there. Next, I'm going to take this one. The plan is to start from here like so and start joining. So I'm going to leave like 3/4 of an inch at the top here, and I'll start joining this one from here. So I'm going to pull on this loose thread because I ran a loose stitch on it, and gather it until I get everything fitted into this place. So see what I did was just pull on one of the thread, okay, because I made a loose stitch here. I mentioned that earlier. So just pull on it until it becomes the same length with the opening under the bust. Okay, so I pulled on this one as well, and I got the same thing. So what I'm going to do now is carefully pin it together and then go ahead and sew it. They are going to pin this to put it together and go ahead and sew it all the way to this part. So this is it. I've sewn it. As you can see, look at how it came out, and I'm going to be using the lining piece to conceal this, to sew this place in. So I'm just going to place the lining piece like this and sew it. But before I do that, I'm going to place the back piece. We have to also place the other side of the spaghetti sleeve. So what I'm going to do is take this back side, the back pieces. As you can see on this back piece, I've already added the gathers at the down part. I have not added the one on the front piece. I'm going to add that. I'll show us how to do it like this. And then take the spaghetti sleeve and I will pin it on this side, very close to the gather. Okay, so I'm going to place it like this and pin it. And then taking this other one, I'll place it like this and pin it as well. So now I can take this one, the lining piece, place it here, and I'll go ahead and sew it. Now when you are done, you can do well to top stitch on the lining piece before you will now sew here. So I'm going to go ahead and sew it. I will sew exactly on the same line where I made the first stitch. Okay, so I have gone ahead to sew it, as you can see, and it came out really nice. So you can add hemming gum when sewing it on this side so that it will lay when you iron it. I forgot to add on this side. I'm going to add it later when I'm ironing it. So I also top stitched it on the lining piece. If you look closely, you will see it. I top stitched it on the lining piece. So let me turn it to the other side. Now I want to tell us, so this is it. So you can, when you pull on this place, you will gather the cup area. This is how it's going to look. So you pull on it to where it's comfortable for you. This is how the cup area is gathered. You pull on this place and this is what you have. So let me just pull on it to gather it, and so you can now make a knot here or whatever you want. And it turned out that even this opening doesn't really show, so you can actually do it with the 2.5 inches or 3 inches, and it is better that way. Here, so I'm going to go ahead and like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is attach the gathers the way I've attached it to the back piece, like this. So I'm going to find the middle of this. So I'm going to find the middle of the down like this. And then I'm going to take the flare. Like, if you don't know how to gather flares on a dress, then you need to watch a lot of my videos where I have made them. And as usual, I'm going to leave the link in the description box. I always share similar tutorials or tutorial videos that can help you understand videos I've made better. I leave their links in the description box. Do well to check them out after every video. So I'm folding the fabric in half so I can match it to where I pinned the flare parts, so that I can now start gathering it. So I'm just going to go ahead. I already ran a loose stitch on this, like I mentioned. So I'm going to gather it until it matches the length of this side, and I will sew it, and I'll do the same thing on this side. I believe you guys know how to gather dresses. If you don't, check out the link in the description box. I'm going to leave a link on so many tutorials I've made that had gathers on it, so that you see how you can gather it. This is to save time. I have sewn it, as you can see. I've sewn I have sewn the gathers. As you can see, I have pulled it in and sewn it. To achieve this, just run a loose straight stitch on your fabric, pull on one of the thread and just gently gather it to match the circumference you want to add it to. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew the zipper. I'm looking for where I dropped the zipper so that I can show you. I'm going to go ahead and sew the zipper. The zipper is going to stop somewhere around here. So the zipper will go from here to somewhere around here. And then I'm going to cover all this place with 1 inch sewing allowance. So I've gone ahead to sew it. I've sewn the zipper, as you can see. Now I'm going to join the sides. So I'm going to sew the side with 1.5 inch all the way down. Now you can decide to come down to 1 inch when you get this way, just because it's a free dress, okay? But if it's not a free dress, if it's a fitted dress, just maintain the exact sewing allowance you added. But because it's a free dress, like it's free from this place down, when I will use the 1.5 inch from the top here, from the armhole all the way to the waist, and then when I come towards here, I'm going to reduce it to 1 inch sewing allowance. So I will join the sides, and then I'm going to go ahead and hem the end. So when you're making this, also remember to do weaving, like do your inseam weaving. I'm going to also weave the inside, because of course you want your dress to be neat inside as well, okay? So use a weaving machine and weave it, and tuck in your zip excess. Always tuck in your zip excess. If at this point you have not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, and of course turn on your notification bell so you get notified whenever I drop a new tutorial. It's been nice having you guys today. Thanks for watching to the end of the tutorial. See you all in my next tutorial. Bye bye.